After months and months of flailing explanations on the Epstein files that President Trump indicated during the campaign trail that he would be willing to release, Pam Bondi saying the files are on her desk, then the files were not on her desk, then some influencers got given some binders, then the files were, I guess, missing. There was a corrupt FBI office that was blocking them. Then she ordered them to be released, delivered by a truck from that same office that was blocking them. Then we got told that they've been through the files. There's really nothing in them. Then we were told that the files were a hoax, and President Trump went on a warpath, essentially, against anyone who was willing to release those files and kept repeating that they were a hoax. And now President Trump is supporting the release of the files. It has been a wild roller coaster, to say the least. This comes from Zero Hedge. It says, in surprise reversal, Trump now supports GOP release of Epstein files. Less than 24 hours, days after President Donald Trump called Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene a traitor and mocked Thomas Massie's dead wife, because they were among 4 Republicans pushing for a House floor vote to force the DOJ to release the Epstein files, Trump, likely sensing he done goofed big time, reversed course Sunday night and now supports their release. It says, as I said on Friday night aboard Air Force One to the fake news media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. And it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics, Trump posted to Truth Social. The Department of Justice has already turned over tens of thousands of pages to the public on Epstein, are looking at various Democrat operatives, Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, etc., and their relationship to Epstein, and the House Oversight Committee can have whatever they are legally entitled to. I don't care, in caps lock. Except it seems he does care. He cares enough to publicly attack quite viciously both Thomas Massie and MTG, especially in recent days. And yes, that comment, a lot of people said attacking his dead wife and his new wife was really uncalled for. And millions of dollars are being allocated towards defeating Thomas Massie in his race. I mean, it's been quite a spectacle. And a lot of people online are very upset with President Trump for this because they perceive that Thomas Massie and MTG both are very representative of the sentiment of the American people, which is America first and increasingly America only. The article goes on that Trump did the whole release them I don't care thing earlier this year after failing to follow through on a core campaign promise and instead giving a handful of influencers binders full of old information. Quote, let's start talking about the Republican Party's record-setting achievements and not fall into the Epstein trap, which is actually a curse on the Democrats, not us, Trump's truth continues. And to be honest with you, if he keeps calling it a hoax, well, how are you investigating Democrats and how are you investigating Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, and so on, if this is just a hoax? How can you investigate it if it's not a real thing? What are you allocating resources to investigate this if it's all just a hoax? These are important questions. It goes on, following his attacks on Greene, Trump denied her claim that his criticism endangered her and that he didn't believe her when she said people are targeting her. Quote, I don't think her life is in danger. I don't think anybody cares about her, Trump told reporters before boarding Air Force One on Sunday night for a return to Washington, D.C. from Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Greene, a U.S. House Representatives member from Georgia who was long known as a Trump loyalist, has recently taken positions at odds with the president, she said on Saturday. She's been contacted by private security firms warning about her safety and that harsh attacks against her have previously resulted in death threats. She attributed her split with the president to her support for releasing records related to the late financier and sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Massie, meanwhile, cast doubt on the DOJ's new investigation into Epstein ties to notable Democrats, calling it a last-ditch effort to prevent the release of the Epstein files. Thomas Massie's comments are, so this might be a big smokescreen, these investigations, to open a bunch of them, too, as a last-ditch effort to prevent the release of the Epstein files after Trump directed AG Pam Bondi on this latest apparent investigation. So this guy, Will Chamberlain, says that Thomas Massie is absolute garbage. We'll show you some of the responses in his comments, but let's take a listen to what Thomas Massie actually said, and the reminder that he gave to his Republican colleagues who are deciding how to vote. Donald Trump can protect you in red districts now, but in 2030, he's not going to be the president, and you will have voted to protect pedophiles. Let's take a listen.
The president has gone after you in some deeply personal ways. I mean, attacking you over and over again, even attacking you for, regarding your wedding, your recent wedding, which, by the way, congratulations. What do you make of all that? And he's obviously supporting your primary opponents. I mean, what kind of retribution are you facing?
You know, my wife told me, she said, "I told you so. We should have invited Donald Trump. He's mad that he didn't get an invitation." So we're taking it with a grain of salt. He's being a bully or trying to be a bully. And they're trying to beat me here in Kentucky. But here's what's interesting. The people financing this campaign consist completely of 3 billionaires, and they're all in the Epstein class. In fact, one of them is named in Epstein's phone book, not the secret files that the FBI is keeping, but in Epstein's phone book. So it's a small world. Dogs don't bark at parked cars, and we are winning. I'm not tired of winning yet, but we are winning. And not only the speaker, but the attorney general, the FBI director, and the president himself and the vice president, they're taking a big loss this week because after months of fighting, I am winning this week with Ro Khanna. We're forcing this vote, and it's going to happen. I would remind my Republican colleagues who are deciding how to vote, Donald Trump can protect you in red districts right now by giving you an endorsement. But in 2030, he's not going to be the president, and you will have voted to protect pedophiles if you don't vote to release these files, and the president can't protect you then. This vote, the record of this vote, will last longer than Donald Trump's presidency.
We're not really sure what could be argued with there. Obviously, anyone with breath in their lungs and a beating heart would want pedophiles put to justice. That's how we ensure that our politicians aren't run by shady figures and that they're actually able to make decisions on their own and not be directed by people that are involved in disgusting blackmail rings. And that's what we discussed last week. We said one of the biggest revelations that came out of the tranche of documents released by House Democrats was that Epstein seemed to be in control of a lot of politicians, whether they win or lose. It was extremely disturbing information. And just on this tweet where people are attacking, and I don't know this particular individual, but people are attacking Thomas Massie online, and these are the kinds of responses that they're getting. This is literally accurate, dude. You vote against the release of the files, you're voting to protect pedophiles. Some people showing the difference between what President Trump has done and what Thomas Massie has done. You, like Lindsey Graham, sit down. There's a clear rift that has appeared between people that previously opposed President Trump, said horrible things about him. Now all of a sudden they're MAGA, like Lindsey Graham and Mark Levin and these kinds of people. If it can be destroyed by the truth, it deserves to be destroyed by the truth. And a reminder that Donald Trump Jr. previously said, show us all the Epstein client list now. Why would anyone protect these scumbags, or those scumbags rather? Ask yourselves this question daily, and the answer becomes very apparent. That's back in 2023. So as much as they have tried to memory hole all of this, and when I say they, I mean the politicians that are currently in power, the mass media, some of these influencers online trying to tell us that it's somehow anti-Trump to want these files now, when literally his son just 2 years ago told us, ask yourselves this question daily, and the answer becomes very apparent. Why should anyone, or why would anyone protect those scumbags? We have been asking these questions daily, and we will not stop likely asking these questions daily. This is a number one topic for people. They want to ensure that no one in the political class is controlled by these types of blackmail rings and disgusting circles. They want assurance that they can trust the political system today and moving forward. And the only way for them to have closure on this is to have all of the information. And if reform is needed following the information coming out, then so be it. But it is interesting that President Trump is now supporting the release. It does beg the question, why the flip? Is it just the public outrage that has ensued? Is something else going on behind the scenes? Are we going to get all of the information? We don't have those answers just yet, but you can be sure that we will keep you updated, and surely we'll know more this week.